Hello.
Hello, audience. Hello, Robert.
Hello, Klaus. Yeah, this is Fun with Relux, episode number 26. And today it's about dynamic visualization, or as we call it as a feature in ReluxDesktop, real-time rendering. Yeah, what is real-time rendering?
Real-time rendering. It's a little bit hard to describe it. We will see it. One thing we can say at the moment, it is in the past we have a lot shown features, old features, existing features. This is a really totally new feature. Mm-hmm. It is not available at the moment, but it will be available in a short time,
couple of days,
in a couple of days or weeks.
Yeah,
and I guess it will be very interesting for you to see the presentation mainly made from Robert.
Yeah. We have a lot to show this time. We have prepared a couple of projects to show you what is about real-time rendering, what it's about, why to use it, where to use it, for what to use it. That's why we jump directly into a presentation to show you what is real-time rendering. And for this, there's also some kind of premiere. Not really in Premiere, we had it in the morning in German already successfully, but now in English, the Premiere, we have now in screen sharing with two screens, with two monitors, with GoToMeeting, fancy feeling. So if you may be confused by your visual representation of this webinar, you have now two screens. One is black. Don't panic, one is black with instant. And the other one is showing ReluxDesktop. So you should see on the half of the screen somewhere splitted the ReluxDesktop. The other screen we will soon fill up with a real-time rendering. Okay, so we have here a normal ReluxDesktop scene. Normal means I have put in a bit of more effort to textures, which I normally not do in this intensity. So we have here a texture for an concrete wall, we have here a column with a texture for granite, and we have here a nice wooden floor. And this is, as I said, a normal, close to normal project. A small one, just to demonstrate the capabilities, what we need for real-time rendering. And here we have, for example, a couple of spots. And this presentation is good to show which spot can do in from his direction to the apple here in the middle. Yeah, and let's switch on real-time rendering with the next version. The next major release version of ReluxDesktop has the name 2024.1. It's not 2023.2. It's in the last quarter we switched to the next year, and with this version coming in a couple of days, we try to have it inside September available. We are in the final testings to say in these days, and with the new version, we have here a beta version. You have a new button in the start ribbon element. So the start ribbon has a new button called real-time rendering, and if you click this real-time rendering, you instantly start a new window, a new small frame, and I show you how this looks. Is this, and now you have on your second screen of the webinar, you can see now the real-time rendering view. This is an own independent frame window. You can move it around. You can put it to another screen. It's highly recommended that you use a second screen for this. To have it in one screen, it is possible, but then it's a bit of messy to find the right operations, to find the right commands. It's a bit of more tiny. It works. It could be operated in one screen, but it's not really funny. You can also change the screens from one to another, but if you have two screens, then use two screens. Okay, what we can do, we see now here a nice, beautiful view of a lonely apple on a granite column, and we have a couple of spots. And the intention of this project was that you can see, okay, I have a spot, and I want to make the spot. I have to dim it on. So, for example, I can dim the spot to make it more light, and now I can see, okay, now I have light from this spot, and also from the spot from behind. I also will the spot from behind dim down to 0, so that it's not interfering. So now I have the visual representation what is about one spot on the apple. Of course, I can also change the direction of the spot. I can here put the direction to this fire extinguished alarm switch, whatever, or to the extinguisher here, or back to the apple. And I can play around with a couple of visualization options. Also, you can see we have shadows in this visualization. We have also colors. It's also possible. So, for example, the wall luminaires here, which makes a lot of intensity in this room, we can dim this down. Also, this wall element. So maybe we make it black again. And can you see now we have just one spot on the apple and high presence of the apple, but give it a bit of the rest of the room. And we can also go into colors. So we can say, okay, let's go for a nice magenta for the wall light. And we can see now the scenery with a magenta dimmed down wall light. You can pick, of course, any color. It's also possible to pick in color by this spectral distribution diagram. That's also something which not everybody is knowing, that we have this kind of tools for this. And yeah, let's dim it down the wall, and let's maybe also add a spot from the front to see how the scenery is changing if I go from the front. And it's really bright, I have to say. With real-time rendering, it's also possible to change, of course, the brightness, the contrast, and so on. But what is really funny is that you can change the camera perspective. So the camera perspective is in a way fixed, but you can go to the screen. I have just to get rid of this aiming tool. You can go just to the second screen, to the screen where you have this real-time rendering, and then you can move with the mouse the camera position, and also can move around with the WASD buttons, like in a game, and can also move around the camera quite freely. And sorry, the high contrast of this lonely spot, or these two spots, are on? Yeah, I guess 2 spots. Yeah, 2 spots are on. You have this kind of, now let's say, distortions of the screen. This is to the high contrast of it, but this is just a couple of time, and then it's going away. It looks better if you have a more diffuse light scenery. Also possible to lock the camera together. So now we have in free camera in this real-time rendering. It's also possible to connect the cameras. For this, we have here with real-time rendering a new ribbon element. And with this ribbon element, you have all the features you can do with real-time rendering. And here, for example, is an tick for use Relux camera. And by ticking this, you have connected the both cameras. And if you move in here, you have instantly the change also on the real-time rendering. So this is now connected. Also in feature is that we have daylight. You can also use this real-time rendering with daylight. Switching on, it looks like this. With daylight, you have the options to change the date and the time. So like a normal daytime calculations, you can switch here the sun from the time. It's also possible to do this time shift directly in this real-time rendering. I have to switch off the connection of the cameras. It's also possible to change here with the buttons U and I. You can switch here directly in this real-time rendering scene the time, and switch the sun directly by these 2 buttons. And you can also change stuff like the cloud. I have to go a bit lower by the Q button, Q and A, making the camera up and down. And it's also possible to change the clouds, for example, to more clouds. More clouds means also more diffuse light in daylight, or you can also lower down the clouds, which means more direct sunlight to the scenery. And also the sky box, the sky model is also changed to this. Yeah, so this is let's say the basic functionalities of this. Of course, you need also a better graphic card to do this. It's like in game engine, which we using here in the corporation. This is not created by us. This is in cooperation with a company called Enscape, which has this rendering possibilities down to a couple of BIM authoring systems. And yeah, and in this with this engine, you need a bit more of graphical power on your graphic cards. with a bit of more graphical RAM, so up from 4 gigabytes is recommended. But you have also the possibility to switch here with this slider the render quality from ultra to low, and if you go to low, you have a less good image or more blocky image with less reflections. You have also a bit of an indirect light. If you go to low render quality, you have no indirect light at all, and also no transparency and so on. And with medium, you have a bit of indirect, and I can recommend, if you have in good graphic cards, the high render quality, which is for me the sweet spot. Ultra, then you really have to have a really great machine to use the graphic power. Yeah, okay, then let's switch to projects. I've prepared a couple of projects. This is let's say the basic entrance of this. I've prepared another project which shows you the possibilities of glass, transparency, and reflections. So let's close this project and open the next one. This is an example where we have 3 kinds of glasses, also in a small project. And now I click here to real-time rendering. Now we can see how fast this rendering is starting. By clicking on it, what happens, Klaus?
Yes, in the beginning, we will see a short message box which gives you information about the system requirements. And you will find there the button More Info. And on this button, you will find they have the possibility to check useful graphic cards for the real-time renderer. And yes, and you can switch this message box completely off. We left it because of our presentation purposes.
And you can see how fast it is. So it's faster than opening the project in Relux, or close to the same time. So it's instantly there. As I said before, you can also move it freely around. You can change the size of this, or make it just full screen to your second screen. And here we have the option to see what happens to different kind of glass. So in ReluxDesktop, you can see it's just in white rectangle, but here in the visualization, also in the ray tracing. So if you use in ray tracing, you have a similar effect to mirrors. So we have here a mirror. The camera itself is not in model. You cannot see the camera. You can also see here the options with imported 3D objects. This is an imported FBX file. With the next version, with the next major version, it's also possible to having more 3D formats imported. So it's not just FBX, it's also possible to import Collada, OBJ, 3ds, and a couple of more. So we have done a lot of more import options for 3D models and textures. And also, of course, this is beneficial for this real-time rendering to have high textures and good shaped models for this presentation stuff. So yeah, we also put a lot of energy into this, and you can get it with the next release, which is, as I said, soon. Also, I have here prepared 2 kinds of classes. One class is diffuse. It's not reflecting the light directly from the surface. And here, this one, this is has a high reflectance, and you can see here we have some kind of mirror effects on the glass, but also still glass in a way. So these are the benefits of this rendering engine. And it's also possible to colorize the glass. So it's possible here to change the material of this glass to a colorful material. I have here prepared a red one. And then you can see also instantly, you can change instantly stuff like luminaires, like objects, like textures, material. You can change it instantly here in ReluxDesktop and having on the side the effects on the real-time rendering. So this is also a nice, let's say, side view. You're doing your stuff in ReluxDesktop and you can see on the side what happenings in the render situation. Direct with import, great for spots, for dimming, for colors, for the representation. I also put in here the glass to the windows. So for example, here we have 2 windows, this window and this window having this glary glass with reflections. And here in the middle, we have the diffuse glass, which has less reflections of the surrounding. And it's up to you to choose what kind of glass you want to use in your windows. We have here some kind of limitations. Maybe you noticed it, the red glass does not making the room red, especially if I put here an spotlight. It's also dimmed down, so I dimmed up the spotlight. I also switch off the sun. So I have here now this the spot directed to this red glass, and you can see there's no color at all at the moment. So maybe this is possible to change it. And also another limitation in kinds of light is if you put this spot to the mirror, you would expect that the spot is reflected through the mirror, that you can do some kind of mirror pathing reflectance of this light, but this is not possible. We're just making the mirror brighter and not really reflectance. So this is also a kind of limitation. It's okay, it's just visualization, but this means you cannot use this real-time rendering
for complex light analysis. It's a rendering. It is really helpful for making good presentations, also to have the view in the scene and so on, the effect. But for complex analysis, you will still need the ray tracing program.
Yeah. This is also in the difference of our old ray tracing core, which makes exactly this possible. In our ray tracing core, you can have a reflectance of a spot through a mirror to the rest of the room, or also colorful glass. You can see that the room is shaped in red within red glass. So this is possible with our ray tracing engine, but you do not get this real-time visualization. You're just getting rendered ray traced images. So it took a couple of time to create this frames, and then you have one picture of the effect, and you cannot going through and walk through as we can do it here. So this is the difference. That's also the reason why we keep the old ray tracing stuff, and also dynamic planning we also keep. Dynamic planning is also based on the ray tracer, and with dynamic planning you have also this optical effects material, which is not possible here. So it's have an coexistence, both of it, and you can also use it in parallel. It's also possible to switch on dynamic planning and real-time renderer on the same project on the same time. It's up to you how you want to operate it, but with the dynamic planning you have also values. You have also illuminance values, also luminance effects you can see, and you can have false colors of the illumination values with the dynamic planning. Also close to real time with a bit of an updating process of this frame, and in combination with this real time rendering for the visualization part. So this is possible. Yeah, that's all to say about this project. I will open up another project. I switched off real-time rendering here and open another project. I want also to demonstrate that it's also great and possible to use real-time rendering for outdoor sceneries, which I've just seen indoor stuff. It also works quite well in outdoor. So this is opening up, yep. And I close this other, I guess I just, yeah. No, I can say, okay, cancel. Okay, but I want to close the other one. Okay, good. I have here an outdoor project in church, modern church, looks a bit of Eastern Europe churches, modern ones. And this model is not created by me. This church model was found on the internet. I could download and use it for free. But for me are the trees and light, of course. And also this can be used for real-time rendering. So I just click on the button, and here you can also see how long it takes. The same message about the graphic card. And now the Enscape engine is starting. Takes also a time, of course. We have a lot of transferring of geometry, and now I put it to the second screen. And here you can also move around with the buttons. With the shift button, by the way, you can also accelerate the speed of the camera moving. So without shift button, with shift button, and here it's also, you can see glass is glass, bit of reflectance. And you can see, go inside the church, have a look on the church, on the effects, and on some projects like this with a lot of glass. It's also quite fun to play with the sunlight, with the effects here on the daytime, in which time you have what kind of effects, time and date, I have to say. So it's also dependent on daytime, but this is great to have a visual impression of this and to see where the light comes from and what kind of effect it has to the buildings. So for daylight visualization, it's great to see your projects in this. And yeah, and also I want to show what you can do as a lighting designer with some outdoor projects. In outdoor projects, you have also the need of saying of having luminaires also in the right direction. So, for example, I have here this massive concrete wall. I want to illuminate it. I have here prepared some luminaires to it, and here I can going now to a spot, or at least we can check how it looks in nighttime. So I have to switch off the daylight, or switch the time to nighttime. And you can see, okay, nice. The cross here above has got some spotlights on the roof, and here I have some other luminaires which tries to making this area homogeneous illuminated, but it's not really homogeneous. And here you can try to make it better with also with this aiming tool. And with this aiming tool, I can try to make this scallops here below a bit more soften, and I can move directly luminaires. I can add luminaires. I can change the dimming. I can change the color, as you have seen. So I can going some time of real time on-site try and fail with my luminaires. And here I can see, okay, if it's downwards a bit better, it's upwards not so nice. So I have to change maybe the distance of this. Also possible to go here for the distance by moving the object. Okay, maybe the distance makes it a bit better, maybe not. Or I have to switch to another luminaire and give it a try with another kind of products to make here a better representation of the light. So this is a nice tool. And also, by the way, I can also try to switch the color of the cross above. You also do it magenta. If it's magenta, ooh, it's not looking nice. Okay, just take a time. Now I have a magenta cross of the two luminaires, which I'm putting to the rooftop. Oops, wrong direction. Upwards, and here you can see here are the two spots I'm putting to the rooftop, and just changed the color of it. I can also, of course, doing some aiming of this, and it's not a good example for doing lights because we have here a massive light pollution. It's not recommended to do it like this in real life. It's just a model just to show you the capabilities. Please do not do this in terms of lighting design today. In the 70s maybe, but not today. Yeah, but just to show the effects which is possible with the real-time rendering with outdoor. I have also one last project I want to show you. It's an apartment hotel room. I just open up. And this also shows the possibilities if you have an scene with a lot of details. By the way, all the materials I used here are from Relux, Relux.net, not Relux.net, from ReluxDesktop. From this hotel room, by the way, all the I have to switch to the room. This complete hotel room I created out of ReluxNet 3D objects, and all the material is out of our library. I just want to close the other projects again. So now back to this project, and here of course can also switch on the real-time rendering. And yeah, of course, it will look nice. And this is possible just with objects from our ReluxNet. And here also you have the nice options to have the sunlight in different directions from different times. And what I want to show you here is that it's also possible to connect any gaming pad which is capable to operate with Windows. So we can connect with USB or with Bluetooth like this, any game controller which is possible to use in Windows, and you can use this game controller like a video game, and you can move around through your scenery with a gamepad. It looks, yeah, like before, but it feels really that you are inside the scenery. With this buttons, you can change the height of the camera. You can also, with this buttons, change the daytime and have some visual impressions of different times. Everything directly with a controller. And if you have a bit of experience with game controllers, with gamepads, this is really fun to have an impression or to have a visualization connection, which is great to use. And yeah, it's just an other, let's say, another immersion of your projects. You can really, yeah, you can really be inside, more insights than you have it before, with some simple one-frame pictures of it. And yeah, you can have here a better experience with mirrors. If you look into the mirror, what you can see behind. And of course, in our universe, it's about lighting. Did I have the right lightings on the right spots at nighttime? Of course, this is noon and this is nighttime. And you can check your design accordingly. Yeah, this is all what we want to show, what we want to demonstrate you. And yeah, I guess now we have the possibility to questions. No?
Yes, just one question of what. Let's talk about what's about the costs.
Important. It's for free. So we will ship with the next major version, that is in a couple of days.
Yeah.
You can use this Enscape real-time rendering module for free. For free means
only with luminaires from our members. Otherwise, if you want to use luminaires which are not in the database of our of the companies who are in membership with us, you have to use the third-party license.
Yeah. So if you have just luminaires from our members, it's not any issue. You can use it directly. If you have a luminaire from not our members, we call it third-party products. So you get a nice message that you have third-party products inside and that you can exchange it to member products, or you can buy a third-party license and then you can also use third-party products. So this is the limitation. But up from this third-party stuff, it's absolutely free to use for everybody, free to download and to use this visualization options out of ReluxDesktop. Also with the next version, also it comes with GLDF. You can also use GLDF luminaires and yeah, give it a try. We had half a year of a beta phase with GLDF, and now is the time to make it public available, the GLDF feature. So these are the major features of the next version. This rendering, real-time rendering, GLDF, and also we have a new improved 3D import, which is of course also free to use with not any more license fees on it. Yeah, and now let's go to the questions. So I will switch off here the presentation and close also the project here and try to make the questions here on the screen. Let's see if we have questions. Yes. There are a couple of them. It's not easy with GoToMeeting to go into questions directly. So now we have something. Okay, here's one comment which I really like. It's just wow. Thanks for this, Alessio. What is the recommended GPU for this feature? It's amazing. I would so there's a website which brings you to the details. The minimum required video RAM is about 4 gigabytes. So you find it in not more than 5-year-old modern graphic cards. So it's not needed to have the latest end of scale product, but an I guess 2060 GTX or something is recommend. It also works. I have to say, it works with my Office PC here, which has, I guess, there's a dedicated graphic card, but also 5-year-old, but a low-cost model of a dedicated graphic card, and it works. It works even with low-cost graphic cards, but it works not in the same performance as you have seen it here. Here we have an RTX 3070 in this PC you have seen, and yeah, so this is great if you have a better one. It scales in a way. So if you have not a performance graphic card, just give it a try what you have, and if you want to have more, maybe you have to invest into hardware. But this is really down to hardware in the end. Yeah, but it scales quite well, I have to say. Okay. Does Enscape only uses CUDA cores in GeForce graphic cards, or does it also utilize the CPU core? Of course, it uses both. It's not just down to CUDA cores in GeForce, also possible to use it with AMD cards. So it's general graphic cards you can use. It's not limited to a specific graphic card vendor. And it's also uses CPU, but it's not uses CPU a lot, I have to say. ReluxDesktop is using a lot of CPU for everything, but the rendering is really down to the GPU. Yeah. Just a bit of CPU. You need also CPU, but you cannot increase on scale with CPU on this real-time rendering. Will also the Relux material library be extended? Yeah, this would be nice. Yeah. We have to say it works with the most of the materials, the real-time rendering, but we have a couple of materials which you cannot see any effect of this. So we need to find out together with Enscape how to describe material. There's a couple of standards how to describe materials in a digital environment, and we need to team up a bit better to make it more compatible to each other. Yeah. This is a good tool. Does this Enscape engine will be integrated in the next Relux version free of charge? Yeah, this question we have answered, free of charge for everybody, and soon, really a couple of days, we are in the last steps. Klaus will have vacation up from next week. We need to be finished with everything. Yeah, or will it be an add-on like SketchUp, for example? No. It will not. It's not the same like in SketchUp or in Revit. So Enscape you can also use in the kind of a lot of other authoring systems. But here we have a nice, let's say, cooperation with Enscape. So we can use their rendering engine, and they can use our calculation capabilities. So this is and crossover cooperation, which is really nice, I have to say. Nice guys from Enscape, making fun to work with them.
And everything will be installed with the next Relux version. So
yeah, we have not to install something.
No any additional installations.
No drivers, no other tools. It comes everything included in the ReluxDesktop setup. Also including this controller stuff. This controller stuff is down to Windows. So Windows operates and drives these controllers, and it works from the beginning. No drivers, no messy stuff, just connected to Windows. If it's seen by Windows, then it's done. You can use it instantly. Is the Relux camera, if the Relux camera is connected, can you also create movie walkthrough? Good question. At the moment, it's possible to take screenshots. You can take screenshots with a lot of options of resolution and so on. And the screenshots are stored in the project output stream. So you can use it in projects, print out PDFs and so on.
We have a little bit forgot this to show this in the presentation, because it's a if you make a normal light calculation with the results of the reference plane and so on, like you do it, and you want to have a printout, you can also make the real-time rendering, store some screen captures in the project tree, and then you have one printout with the print screens from the ray tracing, from the real-time rendering, together with the normal results which come from the RELUX calculation with the average values of the illuminance and so on.
It's also possible to store the screenshots as a picture, as in JPEG, I guess, and also store it on the side to the project if you want to have a more high resolution stuff. And it's also possible, a bit like the old ray tracing. It's inspired by the old ray tracing user journeys. Walking through is a bit of complicated. What I do at the moment for marketing to show the stuff is to do an walkthrough through your design and having a screen recording and screen capturing on the side running. So there's also a lot of for free tools to make screen recordings. There's also the technology, the technical possibility of this Enscape core to making also animations, similar to what we have in ReluxDesktop. We have a couple of episodes ago, there was an episode about animations. It's also possible to give the calculation core animation paths and also to make a video out of this animation paths. But this is not connected at the moment. We have to think about the best user journey to putting this animation into the render engine. This is not solved. Maybe we can recycle our existing animation path and just extend it to this option. This would be one possibility. Potentially, we have to check it more in detail. And what's also possible is that you can do, if you are big into it, to make animations with ReluxDesktop. Not many of the users doing it, but if you an user which can easily work with animations in ReluxDesktop, then you can do an animation in ReluxDesktop. As I said, an episode is available on this, how it works. And then you can have on the side the real-time rendering, and you have the animation which you have prepared in ReluxDesktop on the side, also available in the real-time rendering on the side. So this is also one option to prepare the best way to go through this. But yeah, it's not intended to do this, but it works. I've tried it, and it's funny to see this, but it's not perfect. But it's
But however, this is one of the points where we have to optimize and grow up with this new feature. So there will be some optimizations in the future when we have established this, and also when we have some feedbacks from the users outside.
Yeah. Here's a question about the hardware configuration of our PC here. Yeah, as I said, it's the graphic card is the most important hardware limitation on this real-time rendering, and here we have an GeForce RTX 3070 as a notebook version. So we have here a notebook running, and this is so an more heavy graphic card. It comes with 2 extra fans and so on. So this is not the end of scale, but this is a heavy one. Yeah. And next question, will you bring back the 3D classes function in Relux? Yeah, I remember this nice shutter classes. Also, it's possible to use the real-time rendering for the MetaQuest VR, for example. Yes, it's also something which is technically somewhere in this render core. There is an VR possibility with Enscape. So Enscape has these options to go virtual reality with this. It's not connected. It's not at the moment in use, but it's potentially for the future one of the next steps for our corporation to go also to the virtual reality environment. This is not so far away, more closer than this animation paths, I have to say. So it's potentially easy to do. Are you using MetaRoom?
Yes, we are not in the presentation, but it will be possible that you use MetaRoom for scanning a room, and then you can use it in Relux, and then you have also the possibility to use the scanned room inside of in the real-time rendering for visualization purposes.
Yeah, you can use any stuff you have inside ReluxDesktop. And of course, if you have an MREX scan, you can also use this. And you can also extend this with some more textures and furnitures and so on. It's up to you. Then, what will the output looks like? Okay, we have seen it. Or do you have other outputs from this? Outputs in terms of lighting calculations? There's not any lighting calculation in it, if you mean outputs in terms of lighting calculation. But you have outputs like the screenshots. So we have in the output 3 screenshots and potentially later also animations. But I'm not sure if we store the animations in the output files. You can have an output maybe on the side on your projects in video file or something. So it's really about visualization. So nice images and not something more. For example, is there additions to the PDF? Oh, yeah, just PDF just works with pictures. There's not any animation content in the output at the moment. Maybe later. Great development. Looking forward to get deeper into it. Best regards from Chris. Greetings, Chris. I hope you will also have soon hands on it. There's also a beta available, and give it a try and come back with any feedback. Christmas is coming this year more. Yeah, thanks, Tore. This is really nice. I've also to say I have really a lot of fun. So by creating this, normally I would create 1 or 2 example files for an episode, but here I'm going more and more and more and created this 4 files. And I have to say this search for this search, for example, took me last weekend 2 hours. This is really fun. You have great images, great impact. Also, if you have a controller or something, it's really great to create your own environments, easy, fast, in your known Relux environment. So I have to say this I thought in the first beginning. So we working on this for a couple of months in the first beta versions where I can have hands on it. I really have smiled in full hour in front of the monitor. Of course, if you are so deep in it, you have to feel it. It's hard to see with images. If you have really the control of this camera, it's really amazing. It's really fun. Okay, last question. Could you please use the controller again to fly through the room? Sorry, no. No, it's against our normal schedule of this fun with Relux to make the screen again on. Maybe later you can rewind in YouTube. This video will also be available in YouTube, and then you can see how I fly through the room. Here's also another question about the color spectrum for luminaires. Of course, you can use the color spectrum of luminaires for it, but I have to say we have at the moment a limitation on the data format. You need to have an IES XML file to give Relux in real spectrum from a luminaire, and then we use it. Also, it will be better with GLDF in future. We have with the first GLDF integration, which comes also in a couple of days. There is not an spectrum read in. We can have the spectrum in it. You will see the spectrum maybe, but I'm not sure if we use the spectrum right now with the next version, but this will come soon. We just need to connect it rightly, and then you can use with GLDF spectrums also ReluxDesktop full scale. It's just a couple of a bit of time. Okay, also if you are interested to use it, to have your hands on it, here is a link to our Relux newsletter, and the newsletter will tell you instantly. If you have not, I'm sure you have all the Relux newsletter, but if you have not, here's the option to get our newsletter, and the newsletter will tell you when the new version is up, when it's the version is can be downloaded, and then you can be the first who give it a try and to play with this for free real-time rendering tool. Okay, next episode is on the 19th October, of October, And this is about 3D imports. As said, we have also a new 3D imports, and this inspired us to do an episode about 3D models. We had an episode about 3D models, how we can create 3D models inside Relux, and this episode will be more what can I create outside Relux and put it into Relux in order to have more modeling capabilities with external applications, and how to import this, what you have to be aware of by importing 3D models into ReluxDesktop. So also a bit of more nerdy stuff, but also visual interesting, I have to say. 3D models again. So we're going more visual in the next episode again. Okay, that's all.
Yes, that's all for the moment. Looking forward to see you next time, and have a good time until then.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.